Hey everybody, it's Mark Pattison. I'm back again with another great episode of Finding Your Summit, all about people overcoming adversity and finding their way. Before I get into my rock star guest, in a moment, I want to direct to my website, www.markpattisonnfl.com. There's a lot of great stuff going on there. I've got over 265 podcasts that are in play, very inspiring about people doing amazing things. And we all need to be inspired, even myself. You can also find Searching for the Summit, the Emmy Award-winning Best Picture film, the NFL 360 film. There's a little button. You can follow that link all the way through and watch it. It's pretty amazing what they were able to pull off. And finally, we continue to raise money for Higher Ground via our campaign, Amelia's Everest. My daughter Amelia has epilepsy. My guest today has actually worked a little bit with my daughter, so she knows her well. And anyways, it's all about empowerment of other people. And that's what the world is all about, trying to help others, especially during these holidays that we're experiencing right now. Okay, on that note, let's get into today's really amazing, actually, incredible guest, Shawn Richardson. Shawn, how you doing?
Hey, Mark, I'm great. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. Okay, so you were on my podcast like 100 episodes ago, and we keep marching down the trail here with these podcast episodes that we do, and we talked a lot about your life, about the turmoil that you've gone through. The show, of course, Finding Your Summit, Overcoming Adversity and Finding Your Way, and I think you found your way. And at the time, and I'll just touch on this for a brief moment, but you were kind of coming out of just a crazy ass divorce, and there was a lot of drama associated with that. And I think, when I think about you at that moment in time, you were really in that phase of finding your next summit, right? What you were going to do. And I've been following you now for the past 6+ months as you were trekking all over Europe. And I want to dive back into a little bit and kind of post that conversation that we had and what was going through your brain on how you were going to reset yourself and move forward.
Well, so all my reset happens in nature and hiking. And that is probably something you can relate to, and actually probably lots of your listeners. So I just was experiencing that every time that I would be in nature, hiking particularly, it would just become clearer to me what was next in my life, what I wanted to do. I just became more connected to me, if that makes any sense. So it wasn't that I sat down and I developed a strategic plan for my life. It just unfolded as I continued to hike, which I absolutely love to do and do a lot of. And so, and then about a year and a half ago, I was doing a very interesting, I had a very interesting experience with psychedelic therapy. I did a couple of sessions, which was a very unusual move on my part, but really needed to clear some trauma. So it was very successful. And
so let's wait. Yeah. Before you go there, what does that word mean, psychedelic therapy?
So there are some really fantastic clinical trials going on for PTSD that use MDMA, which is another word for ecstasy, and it's psychedelic. So very interesting work, incredibly powerful data on actually curing PTSD. So I tried to get into a trial, and I wasn't accepted because I didn't have the right kind of trauma. They were looking for trauma that was from one episode, one event, and mine was cumulative. So, but it's really, PTSD is really horrible. I don't know if you've ever experienced any of it. I think maybe once you maybe referenced it. But anyway, just to keep it focused on myself, I pursued some of the therapy outside of a trial and found it, I was terrified, frankly, because I've never done a drug in my life, but fantastic. And it worked. My first session, the trauma was cleared. The PTSD was cured. And then a typical protocol in a trial has 3 sessions. So I pursued 3 sessions. I wanted to mimic the trial. In my second session, now we're getting back to where I was going with this. Yeah. I received a download from the universe, as I describe it, that said, there's a business here for you. And it was very descriptive. The name of the company, the logo, the mission, the first products I'm supposed to sell, the first people I'm supposed to call. It was very, it was incredible. I was not planning to do that in my life. I was planning to hike pretty much forever. But I thought about it for a few days and I said, well, if I don't do that, I'm always going to wonder what if. And so as I continued hiking over the following months, it just became really clear to me what this was all about. And in fact, that website went live today. So my company actually launched today, and it's about hiking. So the last 5 months, when I was out hiking, I worked a lot in my mind on what that, the clarity around the business and my personal life, and looking for trails to take, other people on. So it was a really fantastic exploration. All the hikes were fantastic, and I found some really beautiful trails appropriate for first time through hikers. So very successful.
Okay. So let's break this down. Yep. Yeah. Let's break this down. So the PTSD was related, and we don't have to get into this too much, but it was just related to your marriage.
I think it was probably that would be the sort of the hair that broke the camel's back. Mm-hmm. And interesting, I felt my first symptoms kind of after our last asset was sold. And so really the divorce was quite long and it was complete. And then I started having these symptoms, which I really didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. And then I was told, well, these are symptoms of PTSD. And it's just like a biological hijacking. There's a trigger, an email that you get or a communication from someone that triggered me. And my adrenaline would fly and I was completely distracted. And, I would not describe me as an anxious person at all. But I would feel very anxious and get clammy, and I couldn't get into a productive place in those hours after being triggered. And intellectually, I couldn't talk myself out of it. I mean, it was literally the best way to describe it for me was just a biological hijacking for some hours. Mm. And it's horrible because you can't, really do anything about it. So, the standard of care for that is talk therapy and sometimes pharmaceuticals. And 30% of the people that pursue that, the data I looked at anyway, 30% of the people that pursue that will experience some improvement. And then with the psychedelic therapy and the trials that I read, 70% were experiencing cure. So that's very powerful data. And they're they're completing, I think, phase 2 trials. So they're very far along with the testing of this. And it's certainly what I experienced anyway.
Yeah. When you reference PTSD, to me, that takes me back to Everest. We're almost now going into 2023. At the time I did it in May of 2021. And because I came so close to not coming back from Mount Everest, that every single time I would talk about that, like in the 6 months to a year after coming off in late May, I would just break down and start crying, right? I just couldn't get through a sentence. And so it was that same thing. It was that trigger that just like, and I have to reset and like, okay, we got this. And so I'm not like that anymore, but it took me quite some time to like get over that. And that was a hard thing to realize my mortality. And so like I'm understanding what you're saying when there is like an event that happens in your case, like an email or a phone call or something like that, in my case, talking about it, and that triggers some biological thing that just more or less paralyzes you in some kind of way. So I get that. Exactly. Yep. Okay. So now we're going to get into this whole hiking thing, because I think this is what really, well, number one, I think this is that the main reason why you and I have been attracted to each other from afar, meaning Facebook friends, and we both have a love for the mountains, and we both found healing through climbing and hiking and experiencing nature and things like that. In terms of the business, you mentioned there's a website. We'll ask more about that, the website, so we can link that in the show notes today. But what is that business that you have come up with?
So it's called onewalk.world, and we are a company that supports the hiking journey, soul to soul, SOLE to SOUL. And I think One Walk is the only guiding company that acknowledges the inner experience as well as the physical experience that people have out in nature. So, I've been on so many guided trips and I follow so many outdoor athletes. And there's a great deal of sharing, particularly on social media, about the physical accomplishments. And they're awesome. And that is a thrilling part of being an outdoor athlete, reaching the summit and the physical challenge of getting there, or the physical challenge of completing a 500-mile hike, or whatever it is you've done. And sometimes people can't complete them because there's some impasse for them on the physical level. But at the same time, there's a fantastic inner journey going on around this clarity and the whole emotional, soul nourishing response that we have when we're in nature. People don't talk about that so much. I find that to be the richest part of my experience when I'm out hiking. And so I just want to put that on the table and offer that to people. It happens. And so I think people don't know often what to do with that. It's almost always a fantastic experience. It's never a treacherous one, but a lot can be revealed, when you're in nature, and people don't really know what to do with that. So we work with that and we talk about it and we meet people where they are. If it's a gentle sort of, if they're new to this, I'll call it a spiritual perspective, we meet them where they are, or perhaps they're quite advanced. But it's so we do that as well.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just break it down into layman's terms here. So if I understand this right, you have more or less started an adventure travel company that
Right.
you're going to be taking X amount of people to these foreign lands, small groups, and there's going to be a goal, and there's going to be a destination, and there's going to be a starting point, and there's going to be an end point, and hopefully along the way, a lot of things of what you've learned, they're going to find healing or peace or clarity, like you said, on or whatever or fun. Yeah, it's all. And trust me when I say this, I'm speaking your language right now, because all the above, I check all the boxes of, challenging, hard, excruciating, fun, more clear on my thoughts going forward, my path, all that kind of stuff. And I continue to do that. So, okay. So the reason why I wanted to have you on today's pod, and I think what we needed to do in the beginning here was just set all this up, right? And what happened is as you were building this clarity, and maybe you were thinking about this before, you and another strapping young fellow, it appeared. I'm not sure who he is in your life, but I would assume that he's somebody wonderful. But you guys went off to Europe, and you just, it was constantly. I never knew the beginning. I never knew the end. I never actually knew even the middle. I just knew that you're posting constantly, and you're constantly coming back out and hiking. So where did you start this whole journey?
So actually, that's my partner, Andy. And we actually met hiking.
And by the way, your camera is off, if you know.
Oh, let me put it back on.
Yep. There we go. Okay.
Go
ahead.
Okay.
Yep.
So I met Andy hiking, actually, the Camino de Santiago 3 years ago in Spain. And we became friends, and you meet people from all over the world. It's a fantastic 500-mile hike. It's actually a hike.
Tell me where you start and where you finish that.
You start, typically, if you're going to hike the whole thing and you're hiking the French Way, which is sort of the iconic Camino de Santiago. There are actually 7 of them in Spain, but this is the one everybody really refers to. You start in France, just on the border, and you in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, and you hike all the way to Santiago. All of the Caminos end in Santiago. So that's about a 500-mile journey. People from all over the world come and do it. That was actually, I was doing mostly mountain climbing like you do. Before that, I'd spent, maybe 7 years mostly summiting mountains. And that was really one of the first through hikes. That summer, I did the Tour de Mont Blanc, and I then went straight to Spain and hike the Camino. And that was really a change for me. I loved it. And since then, I've mostly been doing through hiking. And so anyway, that's where Andy and I met. So our friendship grew, and over the years, that friendship grew into more than a friendship. And we live in different countries, so we meet in different places to hike together. So I guess it was now we're at a point before I had the realization that I was going to start One Walk, this journey. But we were hiking in Spain, I guess it was a year and a half ago. And I get so much feedback when I share with my friends on my Facebook page, what I'm doing. Lots of questions or statements like, I really want to do that, but ... There's always something. Yeah. And this is typically a demographic that is like me, an empty nester, 50s, maybe even early 60s, and they have time and freedom, and they're very interested, but... So I just remember turning to Andy when we were in Spain and saying, what if I offered a hike? What if I just offered to take some people on a through hike just to familiarize them with the process? The goal is to create an independent through hiker who would be comfortable and competent in planning their own future hikes. So I did offer that, and the trip was filled, and we guided that in June. And we guided a hike in England, a fantastic hike for a first-time through hiker, the Cotswold Way, which is an 8-day, essentially 100-mile hike. And our hikes, we stay in hotels at night and typically transfer our luggage. So they're tailored for first-time hikers. So, and then that led to, that all happened around the same time that this journey that I referred to happened. Mm-hmm. So I spent the rest of the summer and the fall, the following 5 months, exploring different trails all over Europe, in Romania, Slovenia, Scotland, Ireland, England, Spain, Portugal. And they were all fantastic. So
all this is really your research and development, right?
Yeah, and fun. And where's the line between the research and development and the fun? So yes, they were all hikes I wanted to do personally. Andy went with me on all of them, which was fun. And we had a chance to spend more than 3 months together, because we're always limited to this 3 month because of visa issues. And then, but it became clear, I was pretty clear, like on day 2, which trails would be appropriate to share with other first-time hikers. So I identified I have about 5 trips in 2023 that I'll be offering, and more to come. I'm excited to go explore Japan and New Zealand and Tasmania as some next offerings. But it's all unfolding. It's really fantastic. It's really amazing to be 58 and at this place where there really is to be developing a business and a job where you don't need to take a vacation from it. It's all the same.
No, it's great. It's wonderful. And look, what we all strive for is follow your passions, and those passions can sometimes turn into business sometimes. And you're also entering a phase where we all want to be, we're roughly the same age, and we all want to be living our best life, and we all want to have challenges. And that, with these challenges, you're going to go on these different trips that you are on the verge of launching here. And there's going to be challenges along the way. Something's not going to go right, and you got to deal with it. Right. Somebody is, not everybody's perfect, as there's different personalities, and trying to make those things blend and trying to work with those folks. And it's going to make you grow. It's going to stretch you. It's going to, hopefully, I'm assuming your Andy friend is going to be along,
my Andy.
You haven't identified beyond just he's a good friend. But the bottom line is that you've got support, and all the logistics, and that's, like I say, it's research and development of going out and finding and doing something really cool. I think it's awesome.
I think it's important to actually have hiked the trail that you're offering to take others on, because when I hiked, when we offered the Cotswold Way for the first one last summer, people asked me, have you done it? And it's an important question. If you're thinking about doing a hike, it's important to ask your guide if they've actually done it.
Okay. So what is the first climb that you're doing, the hike?
Well, I already did. That hike was the Cotswold Way in England, and you
Okay.
hike 100 miles through the Cotswolds. It's, from Bath to Chipping Campden. It was a wonderful hike. We're going to offer that again. But I am most excited about, there's a variety, and there are 4 different hikes that I'll be offering. One is in Portugal. It's the most beautiful coastal hike in the world. It's very dramatic, bluffy, big, boisterous waves. I mean, it's spectacular. I was breathless every day of this hike. And the thing that is great about this hike is that it's 4 days of hiking. So it's much shorter than the others that we're offering. So you're in and out of Lisbon in 1 week. So that's the first one. That's in April. And then I'm going to be offering the Camino de Santiago, the whole thing. So that's one of the things that's unique about, another thing that's unique about One Walk is we're going to hike the whole trail. Most guiding companies will do the highlights and they're wonderful. Those are incredible travel companies. And I have done some of those trips, but we're really focusing on the hiking experience. So I'm going to guide the Camino de Santiago, the whole trail, 500 miles. That will be in April and May. And then the Cotswold Way in June again, because that's such a fantastic first hike for a new thru hiker. Then the summer off, maybe exploring some of my own trails. And then in the fall, again, we'll offer the Cotswold Way again in the fall. And then we're going to finish the 2023 season with West Highland Way in Scotland. And that is remote and fantastic, a little more challenging, still appropriate for a first-time hiker, but physically a little more challenging than the other hikes. So that's the menu.
I love it. And how long does it take somebody to hike, walk, the combination of those two things, 500 miles?
Well, so how long is it going to take us? I mean, that you can answer that question in a million ways.
Yeah.
We're going to start April. It takes about 32 days to hike that thing for the average person to hike if they were to hike every day. Now, you can't really hike every day for 32 days. So you need to have like a rest day. So we're going to put in a rest day every 10 days. And you do hike through some fantastic cities along the way. So you want to, it's fun to take a rest day there. It's important to do laundry and let the body recover. So we'll be doing that trip from April 17th through May 25th. And also in there are a couple of travel days from Barcelona to the beginning. We'll meet in Barcelona and travel to the beginning of the trail together. So that'll be our plan. So, and when you're hiking it, again, you meet people from all over the world. And you develop little Camino family, and it's a lot of fun. So even though we will be a small group, it's a very intimate group. The max number that I will take on this hike is 5 people, and but people will have the space to have their own experience. We're not going to literally hike together. I mean, we'll be roughly on the same schedule, we'll be in the same hotel at night, but you will be free to hike with whoever you meet and dine with whoever you want to. And that's a really important and a really fun part of the Camino. There's a saying on the Camino that you meet the right person at the right time. And it certainly is true in my case. Not only my partner, but you'll just even have a conversation with somebody, maybe about what they do for a living, and it's directly related to something that you were just thinking about yourself. So that happens all the time. It's a lot of fun.
Well, for people who have not done this, and as you know, I've done a lot of it, not exactly what you're doing, but in terms of going around the globe and hiking, you're coming together with all these different nationalities, right? Yeah. And that there's such a dynamic thing about learning folks from other cultures and realizing that at the end of the day, we're all the same. And it's usually governments who screw everything up. And the people that normally come together to do these types of outdoor events, kind of have that love of the outdoors anyhow. And so you have them already halfway down the track of they're excited to be there. They're like-minded. And they're friendly and they're fun, and that's what makes. And you continue to expand your horizons. I get messages quite a bit from people like, I'm trying to find my purpose and this and that. And, the biggest thing for me is just my number one advice is the same advice I gave myself, which is stepping into the fear. And I think sometimes like stepping into the fear, like I originally did and you did, which is you just got to book the trip, whether you have a buddy or not. That should be dependent when you go and you join an expedition like yourself, where you've got everything figured out and you just got to show up ready to go, bring your best authentic self. And you know that you're going to learn a lot along the way, and it's going to empower you at the end of the day.
So much so, Mark. In fact, I think, before Andy, actually, I did most of my hiking alone. It doesn't mean you're actually alone, but I don't really have many friends. That's changing now as I've done so much hiking, because I'm making friends all over the world who love to hike. But I didn't have so many friends at home who wanted to hike. So I had to go do it on my own. I actually really recommend that. You will have a very rich, fantastic experience when you do that. And you won't be alone. You'll meet people. You will be when you want to be, and you'll be socializing when you want to be socializing, but depending on the trail. But, related to something you were saying, over the years that I've been doing this now, so I've been doing a lot of through hiking, the last 3 or 4 years. And there is this little bubble of through hikers. It's a global community. They're typically our age, very interesting people. They've sold companies or retired or always been hikers and lived, hand to mouth for their whole lives. But it's a very vibrant, interesting, fun community. And I love meeting these people. And then you learn from them the next great hike. They'll share with you their favorite hike they've ever done. And that's actually how I found out about that trail in Portugal, is that a wonderful young couple that I met in Switzerland. Oh, I hiked there too this summer. They told me about this trail. So we went to check it out, and it was just fantastic. It was very fun.
Yeah. I've had the same experience. As you know, I was in Switzerland, in Vermont, actually getting like breaking news, up-to-date weather reports from you, because I was about ready to launch to go over there. I was about like a week behind you to climb the Matterhorn, of which at the end of the day, I wasn't able to do. It was blowing way too hard. And so I went to Mont Blanc and climbed that, which was super intense, by the way. But,
I know.
I've climbed these mountains all over the world, and I don't think, maybe except for one, that I've ever actually, maybe two, I've actually gone on a plane with somebody that I'm going to go and do this thing with, right? Every single time, it's like, okay, and same thing with, I live here in Sun Valley, Idaho, and I'm doing the same thing, I'm climbing. But to your point, I get so much accomplished by just either not listening to anything beyond just the things going on in my own mind, or podcast, or just music, that just, is kind of in the background where I daydream and go up and down. But you either can sit at home, or you can go out and make something happen. And certainly in your case, you have made something happen. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, Mark. And it's so fun. I don't know. It's really interesting about this term, make something happen. If you're bored or stuck in life, or just kind of craving a new chapter, dusting yourself off a little bit, just start walking. Honestly, start a walking practice, even locally. It'll unfold. Good things will happen. It is, we were born to walk. So go out and walk. And then that little neighborhood walk will grow to a full day hike, will grow to a weekend hike, will grow to a week-long adventure, will grow to an international adventure. It'll just take off for you. And you'll, all along the way, just having a great time and becoming so clear on what you want in your life and how to accomplish it, and what you don't want in your life, equally important, and making a whole international group of friends that maybe you will meet up with again or not, but you definitely stay in touch with and share stories with. So anyway, I'm a big advocate. I'm so glad I do it. And probably we're going to do less mountain climbing now. I am so impressed with you, Mark. You're still out there tagging those summits. And I'm like, so much work, so hard. I actually thought about signing up for an expedition this year. And I'm like, do I really want to haul my body to a summit? It's so physical.
Yeah, I know. That's all part of the challenge. But I can honestly say, and this is for anybody that's considering, going, you can't just show up. You have to get outside, and you have to walk, right? You have to train.
Yeah.
And this is what I think this is like so many people focus on, I'm not saying that you necessarily, but so many people focus on like these hard, tough climbs and expeditions, whatever. And for me, it's literally the process. That's where I fall in love with what I do, and the reason why I do it. And after I hang up with you, I'm going to go out and climb another mountain today by myself. Is because I know that I've got the Matterhorn that I'm going to go back and try to attack again next year with success. And, I failed on it, and that's okay. I still got to train all last year for that moment, and I still made kind of lemonade out of lemons and went and got Mount Blanc, but now I'm going to go back. And so I now get an opportunity to train for another 8 months, until I go back there. And so,
well, I'm going to I see you occasionally, on social media saying, well, what should I do next? And I'm dying to get you to try a through hike. And right there is the Haute route right there by Zermatt, in Zermatt.
Sure.
Mark, that is, it's 8 days. I think it was 8 days. I get them a little confused. I've done so many of them recently. Spectacular. It's so beautiful. It is breathtaking.
And you went from Zermatt to Chamonix?
We went from Chamonix to Zermatt.
Okay. Yeah. I had some people go the opposite way, and I've heard that's amazing. And I do want to look into that next year.
Yeah, you could do that. You could go the opposite way. I think the typical way, Chamonix to Zermatt. And it is, it's incredible. I can't even tell you, you will love it. It's not easy. There's an incredible amount of ascension throughout the days.
Love it.
Some gnarly stuff. You're hanging off of some mountainsides, a little exposure here and there.
Yeah.
But the scenery just takes your breath away. Yeah. And there's no way to see this with a car. You have to go by foot.
That's the best part about it.
And you'll meet the best people. You will meet the best people. So anyway, just a little plug when you're out there to give through hiking a try.
Yeah, no, I love that. Okay, so let's go back and again, let's plug the website. So if anybody wants to go and participate with Shawn on this,
it's www.onewalk.world. And so we went up today. Our hikes are up there today. Some of the other things we do are included. There are more layers to the business that will be revealed in the months ahead. But the foundation is up, and I'm super excited and would love to have people check out the hikes. They are limited. They're very intimate hikes. The largest group we take is 8. So, if you have any interest in going on a through hike, we help you prepare physically for them. Our goal is to create an independent hiker. We don't want to create a dependent hiker, which is really, I think, the goal of many guiding companies. They want repeat business. If we get that, great, but it's not what we're out to do. And sign up, because I think they fill up quickly.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show.
I had a blast.
And what I want to do too is, in like a year from now, I want us to come back on, and after a full season of doing this, and let's talk about what you learned.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to. Yeah, I can't wait to find out. Yeah.
That'll be a lot of fun. Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, Shawn. Listen, appreciate you coming on. Continued journeys, happy blessings, and all that stuff. The holidays coming up, and your joy and your bright light in this world. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Have a great one. Bye.
All right. There she is, the one, the only Shawn Richardson.